You're listening to Xsgaming Podcast, a podcast for gamers by gamers, with your hosts Xander and James Gruesome, bringing you something old, something new, and a little bit of nostalgia too.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whichever time you guys are listening to this. This is another episode of Xsgaming Podcast. This is episode 78. We're recording this on the 27th of December. I'm one of your hosts, Xander Scullion, and unfortunately, James Gruesome couldn't join us for this episode. He's doing some carpentry. He had some unexpected family come down for the holidays because Christmas just passed us. But I'm joined with a special guest for this episode. I'm joined with the one and only Magnus X1. What's up, Anthony?
Hey guys, Magnus here.
Yeah.
With that Magnus sound, I'm done. No, joking.
No, it's great to have you on the show, man. You're a big person in YouTube. You started out, what was it, like 2008?
2008, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, why don't you tell some of the listeners about that in case they didn't know about your channel beforehand?
Oh fuck. Okay, so a long time ago, 2008, my whole life was very different back in those days. I was a stay-at-home dad, and I got bored a lot. So I was watching a lot of YouTubers, and I saw this guy named Jedi1. And I don't know if anyone remembers. Do you remember Jedi1?
I don't know.
Okay, look up his stuff. It's still really good. But he did these real bloggy videos. I was like, this guy's kind of cool. But I never got the drive to do a video until one day I downloaded... I do a lot of digital shit, so I'm not a real collector, but I downloaded a fan translation of Chrono Trigger, and they were saying on this website that it was the greatest translation ever. So I played it. It was in fucking English. It was in fucking English. It was like, the sword destiny of yours, and I'm like, what the fuck? It ruined that game, that game's a masterpiece, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I gotta say something. So I took the ample opportunity and made my first 2 YouTube videos. And it's funny because it was supposed to be this huge commentary. And in the video, I'm like, hi guys, this translation has problems. So, and within my first 2 videos, because Xander knows this about me, I tend to piss off a lot of people. I had a whole website wanting my head. But even though that experience was that, I started to make a couple more videos, and I got attention of a couple other guys, and it just blew up. Just within the course of about 3 months, I hit like 300 subs, and I met a lot of people like, Happy Console Gamer, Wider the Reviewer, Samuel to Geek, all kinds of people who are still around, Pete Dorr, guys like that. But around, I'd say June, I was about at 400 subscribers. I blew up. And within 1 month, I hit 3,000 subs at that point, which was a lot back in those days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because YouTube was not what YouTube is today. It was a lot more underground. It was a new website. I mean, I remember when I first started watching YouTube, I didn't even start watching YouTube watching, gaming channels. I was listening to, Japanese heavy metal bands like X Japan and, Sex Machine Guns. I was listening to bands like that. And then, I got curious one day and I was like, I want to see if there's anything about video games. Because my thing back then was I loved room tours. Digital Press used to have a little segment in their forums called Rooms of Doom, where people would take pictures of their game room and you could just see their gaming collections, and I thought that was so cool, and I was starting to get back into collecting, and that's when I found, Pete Dorr's game room, and I found his room tour, and then I started finding Angry Video Game Nerd, who, I thought was... I didn't even think it was a character at first. I thought he was real, and he was ripping he was ripping Castlevania 2, and I was like, who's this fuck?
You're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I love Castlevania 2. This guy's an asshole. And then I realized it was satire, and I started laughing about it. But yeah, and then of course, I found other channels like Happy Console Gamer, and then I started listening to podcasts, and that's how I found your channel. I was listening to All Gen Gamers, and you were one to host on there. And I was like, oh man, okay. So I went back, and I would always do that. I'd listen to All Gen Gamers, and when they would have a lot of guests at that time, I would always go back and check out those channels. And man, that's when it all came together, and I was like, I wanted to start a podcast, and then I ended up starting a podcast and YouTube channel, and that was that was like freaking 4 years ago. I can't believe it.
And you started following me because of that All Gen Gamers, right?
Yeah.
But what was funny was how we met about 2 years after I recorded that episode. Not to mention any specifics, but I became a moderator at the behest of a friend on another Facebook group.
Yeah.
And Xander and Michael Burhan were both moderators. And you're like, who's this Anthony guy? How do you know this person and all that? And then I told you who I was. Just like, holy shit, you're that dude.
Yeah, it was funny because I went on the forum and it was like, oh, there's a new admin, and I was like, who's this Anthony guy? You know, and then I was like sitting there looking up, and I'm like, oh shit, I know him. So yeah, it was kind of cool. It was interesting, you know, hearing about someone for such a long time and following them, and then, you know, just getting to know each other. It's just the power of the internet. It's so funny, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a really interesting show. We got some definitely some interesting things to talk about. Some gaming news. Man, it seems like a holiday tradition that Xbox One and PS4 goes down on Christmas Day.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, because this happened again. PS4 and Xbox One went down on Christmas Day, and It was funny because it wasn't down for everybody. It wasn't like a complete blackout. I know some people said they were having no issues. I didn't have any issues, but my friend who lives in Arizona, she was having issues. So it was really interesting. And then Steam had some issues. Now, I've been trying to follow the story with Steam. It's not like it was hacked, but it was like in some way you were able to see other people's accounts and see how much money they had in their Steam wallets and stuff. Oh my gosh, it was so crazy. And I'm not a big PC gamer. Like, I have a Steam account, but I don't really play a whole lot of Steam. I look at my Steam library. I have like 7 games, and that's it.
I have 3.
Yeah, and like half of those games that I have were games that people have given me through like Steam gifts and stuff like that. But you recently reopened your Steam account, am I right?
Right, I had an old one, and I never bought any game. The only game I had on there was Left 4 Dead 2, because they gave it away for Christmas, and I was like, oh, fuck it. You know, I can't get my... And Left 4 Dead 2 is on sale for $2, so I'll probably buy it before the winter sale ends. Yeah. And so that's not bad. So I lost Left 4 Dead 2, and I opened a new account, and, you know, it was on the day that all this shit went down.
I know. Well, it was funny because I'm like on Facebook and I'm seeing everyone talk about Steam and sharing all these stories, and then you're posting like, "Hey guys, I have a new Steam account."
So and I bought the only 3 games I owned. I bought my favorite RTS of all time, which is not StarCraft 2 or StarCraft. It's actually Age of Empires 2.
Nice.
And then I picked up Age of Mythology. Which is a spin-off of Age of Empires, an RTS. But it's a lot more faster paced, and you have like Age of Empires, I love it because it's so meticulous and things like that. Age of Empires 2. You want to know something crazy though, real quick, dude?
What's
I don't
that?
want to derail. I played this game when I was in high school, 2000, 1999, that era. What's nuts about it is back in November, they released a new expansion for that game.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they released one in 2013 and one in November.
Wow, that's insane. But you know, that's the one thing I will say about like PC gaming, and I know we don't, like, on the show we don't talk a lot about PC gaming, and it's not because we hate PC gaming. It's quite opposite. I'm just completely a noobish guy when it comes to PC gaming. But that's one thing that I do notice, that a lot of old games in PC, they last a lot longer, and they'll be given new life. You know, a great example would be, you know, like games like Counter-Strike or Team Fortress or Quake. It's just, you know, between like expansions and mods, like a single game in the PC world lasts so much more than a console game. It's really funny.
For sure. Like, one of my favorites is Neverwinter Nights, the BioWare game.
Yeah. And
that was the closest to this day even that you got to playing actual Dungeons and Dragons, because I had the DM mod and stuff like that. that game is still getting modifications to it and shit like that.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But yeah, so I mean, from what I hear, Steam is back to its old self again. You know, I think a lot of people were just told to like change their passwords and stuff like that. It wasn't like it wasn't as bad as like PS4 and Xbox One. But you know what's really funny? It's like PS4 and Xbox One always go down on Christmas, or these networks always have these problems. You never hear anything about Nintendo.
Nintendo Club earlier this year.
Oh, that happened?
Yeah, remember when they were ending the Nintendo Club and for like a month you couldn't get on to get your free games?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that was it. But no, you don't hear about that with Nintendo. But yeah, I don't know if the going down, you know, I think last year was a hacker or something. Yeah. This year, I honestly believe it was because of just congestion.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it, too. I mean, and speaking of congestion, freaking GameStop's bundle that they're having right now is just absolutely insane. Now, I'm not sure how long this sale's going, and the sale might be already over by the time the listeners are checking this out, but apparently there's a bundle that you can get an Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U, and they're used, they're refurbished, mind you, they're not brand new, from GameStop, but you can get all three for around $500. So insane. I remember we were talking about this before we started recording. I was like, if I had $500, I would go out and get them, and some people are going to frown on this, but I would buy it just for the Xbox One and just flip the PS4 and Wii U and make a little bit of a profit.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I mean,
because
we
have them. We have PS4s, you and I do, so.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just one of those things, and, you know, there's still, and that's another thing with the Xbox One is it's not that I hate the system or anything. I really want an Xbox One, but as of now, there's nothing that's really been coming out that's made me go, I need an Xbox One right now. And it's kind of crazy because, you know, tax season's coming around the corner, and last year, my tax refund, that's how I bought my PS4, and I was, you know, thinking, you know, when I bought the PS4 last year, I'm like, yeah, you know, I get my tax refund next year, I'll get an Xbox One, and really, there's nothing out that I'm really going crazy about. I mean, Scalebound looks cool, but then again, it's just, I don't know. It's weird.
I'm with you. You know, on my podcast that I do, my partner feels the same way. Yeah. As we do, you know, and there's just nothing. I like Halo. I'm a big Halo player, but that's not even enough for me to get it. And Rise of the Tomb Raider, which looks cool. I like the first one a lot. That's going to come out eventually on PS4.
Yeah, and it's coming out on PC in January.
Yeah, so there's really no. Yeah, now I'm not knocking on the Xbox One because I know there's a lot of people who enjoy it, but for me personally, it's just nothing for me. I'm a Sony guy. I've been a Sony guy since 1996 when I got my PS1. So,
well, yeah, I mean it's really interesting, you know, because I really loved the Xbox 360. That was, you know, I got my 360. I still got the 360 kind of late in that generation. But I really enjoyed the 360, and it wasn't until Ni no Kuni came out that I was like, oh, I have to get a PS3 now because I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan, and man, I can't believe they're coming out with a sequel. I was so freaking happy when I heard about that, but you know, there's nothing for the Xbox One that's making me say I have to go get this. I mean, I don't really care to play Gears of War HD. I don't really care to play that. Sunset Overdrive looks like a lot of fun, but it's one of those things I watched my friend play it and beat it, and that was good enough for me for now. You know, it's nothing that's going to make me go out and buy, you know, a $300, $400 console. So I'm really hoping that, you know, with 2016 right around the corner, I'm hoping that Xbox One comes out with some better games, because I will say Xbox One is starting to build up some momentum. It's not a complete like dead loss or anything.
No.
It's just really, really slow in that sense, and really slow with the exclusives. But I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. It surprised me I don't have one by now.
for me though, like with what Sony's doing right now, it's just, you know, well, Xander and I, we both have similar taste, I would assume. So stuff like Ni no Kuni 2, the FF7 remake, you know, which is a timed exclusive for the PS4, but still, you know, Persona 5, stuff like that. There's just enough for me to keep. Last Guardian, you know.
Yeah. Shenmue 3.
Shenmue 3, Uncharted.
Yep, and also Ys 8 got announced.
Oh, that's right, huh? And it's a PS4 Vita game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a big Ys fan, so, I mean, you know, Falcom could still fucking make a soundtrack, Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, man, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's really crazy. So we got that. Also, some more stuff in the news. I'm trying to see what else has been going on. It's been kind of slow for the last couple of weeks. I mean, nothing really too crazy has been going on. I mean, of course, we talked about it last episode. We talked about Kojima's new empire being built with Sony. And what are your thoughts about that?
You know, I've been saying for years that Kojima, as much as I love Metal Gear, he really needs to do something different.
Yeah.
And I hope this is something different. I think, and it's been hinted that he's tired of Metal Gear.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he needs to go do something different. That guy can tell a hell of a story. And I'd like to see him take something new, you know, and I'm not opposed. I doubt he can because of rights issues and stuff. But do something like, you know, what he did with Snatcher. Make a game in that vein. Or make a game in the vein of Police Knots.
And the thing is, those games would be so popular right now because look at the Telltale series. Mm-hmm. You know, people are just gobbling the Telltale games up like freaking, you know, a Chinese buffet. They love those games. And we've had, you know, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Minecraft. I mean, and pretty soon Batman, which we'll get into when we talk about more about superhero stuff. But it would just make so much sense if he went out and made like a Snatcher style or Police Knot style game in that aspect that I think a lot of people would gravitate towards it by name alone, you know.
Exactly. And you also, you know, you can't forget the stuff that is not, you know, Telltale stuff. Like Alex has been praising to me the last month or so about Life is Strange.
Yeah, that game is beautiful.
Yeah, he's been praising that game nonstop to me, or things like you know, King's Quest, which I've enjoyed.
Yeah, you know, I was really stoked for King's Quest, and I downloaded it because it was free on PSN.
Same here.
I still haven't had a chance to play it yet. I'm looking forward to it though.
I think you'd like it, my friend.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I mean, I've been so busy, and I'll get into that with games we've been playing recently with freaking Xenoblade X. Oh my god. Holy shit. But yeah, what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be talking about some superhero games, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what we would like to see in the future with that genre. And to lead off into the break, we're going to play an NES classic, and that is from Batman NES. Gotta love Sunsoft's soundtrack to this. So stay put, guys. We'll be right back. And we are back, guys. That was some wonderful music from Batman on the NES, classic title right there. And we're going to talk about some superhero games. I'm going to ask you real quick, man, what is one of your favorite superhero games?
Ooh, fuck. There's so many. There's so many good ones. Fuck. You could go easy modern with like the Arkham games.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm a little biased because for those that don't know, I'm a DC fanboy, and Xander knows that. And I'm not shy about it. But I don't hate Marvel though, just to let you know. I just prefer DC over Marvel. But if you go into superhero games though, there's a lot of good ones I've played. A lot of good ones. You know what? The ones that stand out to me, though, are those old Marvel beat-em-ups that were done by various companies.
Yeah.
So there was, of course, X-Men. That's the quintessential one. There was Spider-Man. I think Sega did that. The one where you could be like Hawkeye and Black Cat and Namor.
Oh, yeah. And wasn't that the one that had like the goons that all sound like Vega from Street Fighter?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, yeah. I don't know if Capcom did that one. I know Capcom did the Avengers one, though.
Oh, that one was a lot of fun.
There's that one. And then there's that really good Capcom Punisher beat-em-up.
Yeah, you know what's funny is Punisher actually got a lot of good games, but they always go under the radar. Like even, LGN, which, everyone likes to slam on, LGN actually made a really good Punisher game on the NES.
I remember that one. I also remember one on the Game Boy. Wasn't there one on the Game Boy too?
Yeah. What was interesting about the one on the NES too? It was kind of like it was a shooter. And the aspect it was kind of like a light gun shooter without the light gun, because you had the little crosshair, you would sit there and you would shoot stuff. And I remember there was like a guy that would always play the freaking saxophone, and I would always shoot him because it was so funny, because he'd be like sitting there getting down with a saxophone solo, and all of a sudden you shoot him and like you'd hear the saxophone like die, like you
would just take his ass out, boom.
Yeah, I would always do that. But that was a really good game. I loved the Carnage games that were on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis.
Those weren't bad. Those were by LJN too, the Maximum Carnage game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad one. Here, real quick on LJN, I'm thinking that, and I play games through digital means. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that I'm wanting to go back and explore some of these LJN games.
I think LGN, and a lot of it, is the angry video game nerd. Because a lot of people, they slam LGN, and a lot of them haven't actually played them. I mean, there are some really bad LGN games, but what a lot of people don't understand is LGN was a company that had several different publishers that made games for that one company. LGN wasn't its own company.
Right.
I mean, even Rockstar made games under the LGN marker. And it's really interesting seeing people go back and like, they're like, oh yeah, LGN, it sucks. And I think it's like one of those things, like, it's kind of like the Jar Jar Binks of video games, where it's more popular to hate it than actually hate it. Because I don't think a lot of people hate Jar Jar Binks just because it's Jar Jar Binks. I think it's just a popular thing just to hate him. So I think that's the way it is with LGN. I mean, they've made some craptacular games like Silver Surfer, which was pretty bad, and Wolverine. That was another really bad. Oh, that was another one. That
hitbox detection. Then that angry video game nerd is not exaggerating. That is the worst hitbox detection in a game I've seen for a shmup.
Yeah, it was really bad, but I mean, it still wasn't like the worst game ever made, but by the standards going back, it hasn't aged well. And I don't know, I think, when I first played Silver Surfer when I was a kid, I think I was a little bit more forgiving because I didn't have a whole lot of video games. And, if I had to play a new video game, I had to rent it. And, sometimes you'd be kind of persuaded, because you'd waste your money on this one game that you had to spend all weekend to play. And even if it was craptacular, you would, like, try to find reasons to like it to kind of make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Like buyer's remorse. I had a lot of games like that. One of my famed rentals that I always rag on, though, that I absolutely hated, I always go back and talk about, is Last Action Hero.
Oh fuck.
God. That game was so horrible, but Yeah, I mean, thinking about some of my favorites, you hit the nail on the head. X-Men was really fun. A lot of the beat 'em ups. Did you remember the Justice League fighting game though?
The Super Nintendo Genesis one, yes, I do.
Oh my gosh!
A lot of people forget about it. It's interesting because now we live in the world post Injustice, and we're most likely. I think that's going to probably be NetherRealm's next game is the Injustice sequel.
Me too.
But which I'm hoping it is. But you forget about fucking that Justice League fighting game. That Injustice was not the first DC fighting game.
Yeah, and it was it came out a lot around that time that Street Fighter was really big. I mean, you had so many Street Fighter clones. I mean, even Double Dragon took a stab at it with the Neo Geo version of Double Dragon. It was a fighting game. But yeah, it was a really interesting game. I was trying to, because I don't have it on Super Nintendo, I was trying to find a ROM of it and play it before we did the show, but I got so busy with other stuff I didn't get a chance to. But I remember that was one game that I did do a lot of rentals for because I just thought it was cool. I thought it was cool that, here was Batman versus Superman or, Wonder Woman versus Flash, and I thought the music was actually kind of good, and the sprites were actually really detailed for its time.
Yeah, I remember that was a pretty good looking game back in the day. I remember playing it on the Genesis, and it looked good on the Genesis. Yeah,
and then of course you had the Incredible Hulk games. Some were really good, some were really bad. Incredible Hulk, I think it's called the Phantom Saga on the Sega Genesis.
Okay, I don't know that one, but
oh god, it was really bad. But then of course you had the Destruction Hulk series that came out in I think like 2 generations ago. I think it was on PS2 and Xbox. That one was actually really badass.
Yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one too. I remember around the same time I had a Game Pro that had a strategy guide for that game, and then Death and Return of Superman on the SNES.
Oh wow. And then he had the Spawn games.
Yeah.
Which I thought Spawn on the Dreamcast was a lot of fun, but Spawn on like Super Nintendo and PlayStation, not so much.
I remember the Spawn ones, yeah. Yeah, I never played I never played any of those though.
The Dreamcast one was a lot of fun. It was another Capcom title, and it almost had like a Gears of War kind of feel to it, because you actually had to take cover and like when you would shoot things. It was really interesting, and then of course you had Aquaman Battle of Atlantis on GameCube.
Superman 64 as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. It's kind of funny. Back in May, I went with my best friend and his girlfriend up to live in Colorado. So we went up to Manitou Springs. You just reminded me of something. And in Manitou Springs, for those that don't know, they have Manitou Springs is this little like resort town, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about yet, Xander, but they are known by a lot of video game enthusiasts of having this massive old school arcade. Oh, wow. And this old school arcade has, I mean, when you think of arcades, you think of, old school arcade in the 80s. They have a lot of that. They have actual asteroid machines, stuff like that. And They even go beyond that. They go back to the old school penny arcades.
Oh, wow.
But in the middle section, they have a lot of games that are kind of like, more modern, I should say. And I was wandering around it, and I saw on the side Justice League characters. Like, what the fuck is that? So I ran around, and I found this Justice League beat-em-up that, according to the game's machine, dated back to about 2005.
Holy shit.
And it's a 3D beat-em-up.
Huh.
I never even heard of it.
Wow. I'll have to see. I need to see if I can find a MAME ROM of that. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, because it was really... Played the actual machine and it was fun, but I never knew it existed.
Huh. Yeah, because, 2005, I mean, that's... I don't know about you, but, when it came to arcade games, arcades really died in my area around, 2003, 2002. Because, the only arcade that we really had left in town, other than the one at the beach, that recently got burned down not too long ago, which really sucked. But the only other arcade that we really had that was really worth a shit was the one in the mall. We had a Tilt, and you know that was really popular. And the thing that really kept that arcade in business for the longest time was like DDR. Like that was was the thing. Like everyone went there to play DDR. My buddy was a big DDR fanatic. He would go in there and play, and I would just wander off and like play Mortal Kombat 4 or Tekken 3 or something.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting that that game kind of flew under the radar. Now I will say one Batman arcade game that I really enjoyed that's kind of recent because I played it about a year ago, and it was like this Batmobile Batman game.
Oh, yeah, my bowling alley has that.
It is fantastic. It is so much fun, and you can pick the different Batmobiles. You can play like the 60s Batmobile, you can play the Burton one, you can play Batman Forever. I mean, they had all the different Batmobiles that you could choose, and you had like a nice little cockpit that you went into, and you like chased the Joker. It was a lot of fun. That was actually a really fun arcade game.
It's pretty crazy. My bowling alley has that, because where I'm from, we still, like, it's weird. People will try to bring back arcades. It's really odd. Not barcades, but arcades. Yeah. And we have this we have a arcade in the bowling alley, little one. And it's always changed. The only thing that stays stable is the Neo Geo machine.
Oh wow.
And that's been there for years, and it works fine, but they have that Batman game, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, they've tried to bring arcade back. They've tried to bring some back here in town, but it's just like I find out when I find out they have a new arcade, I'm always like, oh shit, I need to go to it, and I go to it, and it's just nothing but prize games, and like things to put in tokens to win tickets, so you can like get 1,500 tickets, so you can get a freaking plastic skateboard keychain or some bullshit like that. And they had one in the mall for a little bit. And I went in there, and it's like I stepped in, and it was like as quick as I stepped in, I stepped out. I like turned my heel and walked right out because it had no actual arcade games. I think they had like one arcade cab, like one actual cab, and I think it was like Hydro Thunder, and that was it. And I was just like, man, I feel like, I don't know about you, but when I go into an arcade, there's like certain games that have to be in there in order for me to be like, this is a legit arcade. And one of them's like, it's got to have like an old Galaga cabinet and a Street Fighter cabinet, Donkey Kong. If it has those quintessential cabinets, then I'll stay in there. But other than that, then or if they have pinball. If they have pinball, it's an automatic win. It's an automatic win right there.
Real quick, this is a funny story, and then we could go back to superheroes if you don't mind, because we kind of went to an arcade tangent. There's a chain of restaurants you probably know called Country Buffet, and it's basically just like a buffet. You pay like $8, and it's all you can eat. And my son and I went to eat back in March. We went to eat there, and I was gonna go buy Bloodborne at the time, which I did, and it's hilarious because we were sitting there. And my local Country Buffet has been there for nearly 20 years. And I know the layout of it. And there's usually this banquet room. And I look to the banquet room, and I see claw machines, and I see video game machines. I like, what the fuck is going on there? And I tell my son, I got to go to the bathroom. I say that with quotation marks. So I don't go to the bathroom. I go into the old banquet room, and it's a fucking arcade.
That is awesome.
And it doesn't have, like, Donkey Kong and stuff, but it has one of the best light gun shooters released in the last 10 years, and that is the Terminator Salvation game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went to see Star Wars not too long ago. Actually, I saw it again yesterday, but I saw it the day when it came out, and I don't go to the movies that often, and that was one of the things I loved about going to the movies, was going and watching the previews before watching the movie and going to the arcade.
Same here.
And they didn't really have any arcades there when I went in there. I was like, man, what the hell, It's like shit. But I do remember the reason why I brought that up is because when you said the Terminator game, that was one of the games that was always in the movie theater, was that Terminator light gun game, and it was like you had the little M16 or machine gun or whatever you'd play with. That was a lot of fun.
Not the old school Terminator 2 one. This new Salvation one is just as good as that old one, I think. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My movie theater still has an arcade, and it has a Time Crisis 3 machine. It has an Area 51 machine.
Oh, shit.
It has Ghost Squad. Remember Ghost Squad?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it has a Fast and Furious one. It has a Crazy Taxi machine.
Holy shit.
It's nuts. It has something else, too. It has one of those Kabbalah games, but no one cares about that. I didn't. Which are like the most boring arcade games ever, so...
Yeah, I remember there was one arcade that I really enjoyed as well. It was a Sega light gun game, but it was like you were on this boat and you had like a harpoon and you're like shooting sea monsters. I can't remember the name of it.
That.
I can't remember the name of it, but I played that not too long ago, and that was a lot of fun. And that's the thing too, man. When I go, because I don't go to bars that often either, and when I do go to a bar though, I always try to see if they have arcade machines. And it was funny because my birthday was about 2 weeks ago, and my buddy took me down to Cape Fear Wine and Beer downtown, and it's like this really nice bar. And it's not nice in the sense that it's like elegant. It's a punk rock bar, so a hole in the wall.
Oh, cool.
But they have like, they always have a jukebox playing all sorts of punk music, and they have a great selection of beer and wine, and I always go there and get mead. Like they actually have mead on tap.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it is so awesome. So I went in there and, I got some mead, and I'm walking by and they had a new MAME cabinet. It was like brand new.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, my buddy lost me. He couldn't find me for a second there because I'm sitting there admiring this cabinet. I'm like, oh man, it's got Dragon Spirit. Oh man, it's got Dig Dug. I'm there going through it. He's like, where did you go? And he's like, oh, I should have known. We just got, because he does security there. He's like, yeah, we just got that cabinet in a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, this is awesome. So yeah, it's really funny how like my eyes go towards certain areas when I go to like places, and
same here. Those MAME arcade cabinets though.
Oh dude, I love them.
I love them too because I'm seeing them around a lot. In fact, one of my pizza places has one of them, and I remember seeing this thing as far back as 2008, and they still have it there. And it has shit like Mortal Kombat, the original Mortal Kombat 2, stuff like Dragon Spirit, Space Invader, stuff like that. It also has like those Laserdisc games.
Oh yeah,
Dragon Slayer, Space Ace, Dragon Slayer 2, stuff like that. It even has that anime one. What was it, Time Gal or whatever?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it has that anime one too, which I've never played. So it's cool. Sorry, I went off topic.
No. It's all good.
But I love arcades, man. I miss them.
No.
There's just something about the atmosphere, and I have a feeling they're gonna come back. I don't know why.
It's been kind of like the Xbox One. It's a slow process, but I can feel it brewing. I can feel it as well. I mean, especially because we're getting a little older, and people our age that look at the arcades and we really love it. Some people now, they're owning bars or owning their own restaurants, and they kind of want to bring that back. I mean, like if I had the money and I opened like a pizzeria or something like that, I would be like, okay, we're gonna have the best pizza and we're gonna have a Miss Pac-Man cabinet right over there.
Oh yeah. I don't know if the pizzeria is still open, but I think there's one in town that has. I know it had an actual Street Fighter 2 World Warriors machine. Not Championship Edition, but World Warriors machine. I remember having a Tekken 2 machine and all kinds of shit like that. So, it's pretty crazy. There seems to be, like, Colorado's weird because we're kind of behind in the times in some ways where I live. You don't start, and even in Denver, I live only about 100 miles south of Denver. And I naturally make some visits there, especially for Comic-Con. But where we're at, we're kind of behind the times. You know what I mean, Xander?
Yeah.
And when I talk to Alex, he's like, well, we're all, blah, blah, blah. But here it's like, you have like arcades in the middle of a bowling alley or, there's even one gas station that has an arcade machine in it.
Oh my gosh.
It's nuts. But we don't have an actual arcade like we used to. But I know where to locate the spatter of them. And if you could gather all the spatters of them, you have one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, that's kind of the funness of it, though. It's like a wild arcade cabinet appears.
I know it's nuts. It's really unique. So that's arcade, but I love arcades. I think they're gonna come back, to be honest. So
I would really enjoy that. I mean, of course, you had the barcades too, but to me, barcades aren't the same.
Okay.
I love barcades, but it's just, to me, there's something more organic when you go into a restaurant or you go into a gas station or you go somewhere that you're not expecting to see a cabinet and it's there. I mean, barcade, it's kind of like the novelty bar. You go there, you're like, oh yeah, they got Time Crisis. I'm gonna take some shots and play Time Crisis and have a good night because that's awesome. But it's just not the same as going into a department store or something like that and seeing an arcade cabinet. It's just something special. That little nostalgia trigger goes off.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the best place that an arcade, adding on to what you just said, the place to me that an arcade just naturally fits is a pizza place.
Yeah.
Like so many, it's just something even in pop culture. Like, I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and the episode The Frogger, where did they find the Frogger machine at? A pizza place. So
exactly.
So I mean, it's just something with pizza and the arcade. I don't know if it's a Nolan Bushnell thing that when he created the Chuck E. Cheese concept, but it just fits.
It really does. And oh god, that reminds me of another thing, man. Like last year, my nephew turned 3, and he had his birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. And I was excited to go to Chuck E. Cheese. I hadn't been to Chuck E. Cheese in years, and I'm like, yes, I can. Because the thing is, you can't go into Chuck E. Cheese now without having a child with you. Like, you can't you can't just visit Chuck E. Cheese anymore. You have to be there for a party, or like be bringing like your little cousin or something like that. You just can't go in there and be like, yeah, I just want to eat pizza and play video games. You can't do that anymore. Yeah. And I went in there, and they had like no arcades. They were all prize games. They had one arcade cabinet, and it was a Guitar Hero arcade.
Yep, I know that. My son, I have a 10-year-old, and we went to a Chuck E. Cheese a couple years ago for a birthday party, and the games are like fucking claw grabs and shit like that. And I mostly played skee ball because that's old school to me. But yeah. So, but if you were ever in Colorado, though, Xander, I would recommend going to the Manitou Springs Penny Arcade. There are YouTube videos. I recommend you looking that shit up. Oh,
I will. I would go to Colorado and just go on like an arcade tour and like random food, because that's what I do when I go to new places I've never been before. Like, that's the first thing I want to do is like try out the different food.
Oh yeah, same here. Food's an arcade. You can't go wrong.
But yeah, I mean, we can talk about another subject, because this is something I was going to bring up in the episode, and that was a little bit of 2015 stuff. Now, you host a podcast with Alex, my backlog battle.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have been covering a lot of 2015. And I know when I was going to get you as a guest, I was like, oh, he's probably burnt out of 2015. I don't want to be like, what was your favorite game of 2015? So I wanted to do something a little bit more different and talk about some of our favorite and not so favorite purchases of 2015.
Oh shit! Okay.
Like it doesn't even have to be a game that came out in 2015 or anything like that. It could just be like, something that you bought gaming related that you really enjoyed for 2015. Even if it's a retro game.
You know what game I'm just going back to and back to and back to and back to that I bought this year? I only paid $15 for it. There's 2 games that I keep revisiting that I got this year. And they're indie games, ironically enough. Binding of Isaac. Rebirth. I don't know if you've played this.
I've heard about it. I still haven't played it yet.
Oh my lord, it's one of the best twin stick games I've played in a long time. It's a twin stick game meets Legend of Zelda.
Huh.
But but you don't have an overworld, you don't have shops, but it's more of like they just took the dungeon components of Zelda.
Yeah.
And you go in and the story's fucked up. You're basically a kid who is spoiled, and then his mom loses her mind, and She wants to kill you because God told her to. That's the story.
Holy shit.
That's the story. And then you go and hide in the basement, and you're going through the basement. And all the dungeons are like, if it was just a Zelda game with just the dungeons. NES Zelda. Not any of the other ones. The block dungeons. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it randomized, and it's so much fun.
Huh.
It's so much fun. That game, and then the other one I know you've played, I was late to the game on this, is Shovel Knight.
Oh, yeah. Shovel Knight is just... Yeah, I remember you guys were talking about it on your guys' podcast. Shovel Knight is one of those games that's gotten so much hype, but it deserves every single bit of it. Because one of the things that we see a lot in gaming now is we'll see those games that come out of nowhere that get tons of hype, and I'm kind of reluctant about playing them at first because I don't want to be let down. I'm like, everyone's talking about how great this game is. I almost don't even want to play it. But Shovel Knight was one of those games that I heard about a long time ago, and I forgot about it. And then when it came out, everyone was like, holy shit, Shovel Knight. And I'm like, Shovel Knight. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, I remember this. And I went and I bought it on Wii U, and yeah, it is such a great game. I still want to get the actual physical copy. I'm debating if I want to get it on the Wii U or PS4, just because I do have the Shovel Knight amiibo reserved. So,
oh yeah, I forgot they're making an amiibo of it.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is that amiibo is going to have features exclusive just to the Wii U, and I think one of them is going to be 2-player co-op, which is going to be pretty cool. So I mean, that's one of the things I was like, oh man, yeah, Shovel Knight's freaking awesome. With 2015, a game that I really enjoyed was Super Mario Maker.
I haven't played that. I need to though.
It's such a great game, and I actually am releasing a video like my top 5 games of 2015, and that was one of them. I loved Super Mario Maker. It was so much fun. And another thing that I got in 2015 that I really enjoyed is I finally got a Atari 2600. I've never actually owned a 2600. I always played my grandfather's, and I finally got one not too long ago. I got what they call the Vader one. It's the all black 2600.
Oh yeah.
And what I like about it is the sense that the games are just so cheap. Like seriously, I go to my retro video game store, and they have Mega Man 2, they're selling it for like $80 to $90 on the NES. I mean, it's so expensive. And then you go over to the Atari 2600 section, they have like piles of games that no one cares about. They're selling for like $2 to $3 a pop, and I'm just like, oh man. So I've been cleaning house over there. I've been going there and buying, some Atari games, and it's been fun.
There's a lot of good stuff on the Atari. There's stuff like Keystone and Capers and Mega Mania and stuff like that. So.
And the homebrew market. That's another thing I'm starting to get really into, is I'm wanting to check out these homebrew games, because they found ways to manipulate the cartridges to really extend and push the hardware of the 2600. Like apparently, like some of the games they've been putting in, like old cell phone RAM sticks inside the cartridges to give the games more memory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, some of these games that they've been coming out with the Atari 2600, they are almost up to par with the NES.
Jesus, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really interesting. So I've been wanting to check some of those out, but I think when it comes to games of 2015 that I'm kind of like, I really wish I didn't get that. One game that I didn't really care for too much was J-Star's Victory.
I've heard of that. Yeah, that's that crossover game, isn't it, or something like that?
Yeah. It's a a fighting game that has a bunch of the Shaolin Jump characters in it, like Goku and Naruto and Bleach and all that stuff. And I was really hyped for that game, and I was going to actually import it on the PS3. But then they were like, we're going to release it on a PS4, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And it's one of those games that it could be really good, but it's like they try to overcomplicate the fighting system. And I hate fighting games that do this. They try to overcomplicate it and try to add so much to it that it's just not fun.
Yeah, which is, I know a lot of people love Street Fighter 3, but I feel that's what that game did, and that's why that series went the way it did for such a long time.
Yeah, because I mean, like Street Fighter 3, it has a lot of mechanics to it, like the parry system, and it's great for, veteran fighters that, go into competitions and stuff like that, but a casual fighting game enthusiast like me that just likes to play the game and play with my friends, it just becomes too much.
Yeah, exactly. It just, fighting games should be accessible.
Yeah. I mean,
they should be. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, I don't want like a bunch of RPG elements with my fighting games. Even though I will say, the Dragon Ball Xenoverse was a lot of fun. That had a little bit of RPG elements to it, where you could actually create a character and edit their moves and stuff like that. But it made it fun. It wasn't too complicated,
I heard that was a solid game. A lot of people are still playing it too.
Yeah, it's really good. It's probably one of the best DBZ games that came out in a very long time.
Oh yeah, it's a really, really good game. I heard so.
And then, of course, you had Godzilla. That came out for PS4.
God!
And see, the thing about Godzilla is it's not a good game. It's really not a good game. I tell people that want to play it, I'm like, if you're playing it as a fighting game, if you're playing it as a video game, and I know it sounds weird, but if you're playing it as a video game, it's going to be horrible. If you're playing it to be nostalgic of old Toho Japanese monster films, you'll love it. Because that's exactly what it plays like. Godzilla moves around like he's a guy inside of a suit. He moves at like 3 miles per hour, and there's like little destruction and fights, and the sound effects are spot on. The music's good. That aspect is perfect, but as a video game, it sucks balls.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, man, because I know since I first met you, you are one of the biggest Godzilla fans I know. So fuck.
Yeah, well, I'm just glad that it got a Western release, because that was another game that I was going to import on, because it was originally on the PS3, and I was going to import it, and it was going to cost me like $80 to import it.
Oh shit!
And I'm glad I only spent like $60, because I bought it day one, and I got like the little poster with it. But it's nowhere near worth $60. I think at one time it was on PSN for $12. It's definitely it's a $12 game.
Oh, maybe less than that from what you're telling me.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely worth the $12 for a diehard fan. But
So those are the most regrettable purchases for you.
Yeah, I would. Overall, I thought 2015 was a solid year of gaming.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And 2016, oh god, man, 2016 is just going to be unreal. I'm already I already have a notepad on my computer, and the title of it is 2016 releases. My wallet, sad face.
I know it's going to be nuts this year. Right at the fucking get-go, too.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. So can I really do mine regrettables real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, because mine is different. I don't think I bought a video game that I disliked, but I got something video game related that I really disliked, and you probably know what I'm talking about because I went on Facebook and I've ranted about it so much.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, or no?
Are you talking about a book?
Yeah, I'm talking about a book. You know what book I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm sorry, because I'm sure a lot of your fans love this book. I think maybe... Have you read the aforementioned book?
Yeah. Well, I didn't read it, but I listened to the audio book.
I listened to the audiobook, and while the performance by the reader was great, the text was awful. And that's Ready Fucking Player One. Oh my lord, I despise this book so much, and I know I'm in the fucking minority, but I'll explain what I have a problem with, okay? Real quick.
All right.
Look, I get it. I love a lot of the stuff I love most of the stuff that book fucking talks about, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deny it. But it just panders to you, and it talks down to you like you're a fucking idiot. I don't need to know what Family Ties is, Ernest Klein. I know what the fuck a Family Ties is, man. Oh, fuck. It just... he seems very condescending, and I didn't like that in the book. Go ahead.
Is it one of those things like where it's just kind of like trying to push it in your face, like this is vintage, this is the 80s? You know, is it like, did you get that from it? Is that what it was?
Yeah. You know what? And it does it in a bizarre way. It's like you have these characters who are like they're 18 years old, and they're living in like 2055, but yet they're obsessed with the 80s, which makes no sense.
They're hipsters.
Yeah, I mean, like, fuck. And then the main character, Wade Watts, is the most annoying Mary Sue motherfucker I've read in a long time. You know, it's like, I've seen War Games 25 times. I played Defender all the time. I played Joust all the time. I'm like, dude, he's that nerd at your local nerd store that you just want to fucking punch in the face. Because he's done all this better than you. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up, Wade Watts. And then he goes on two really bizarre tangents in the book that are out of place. And mind you, I'm not attacking, when one in particular, I'm not attacking the beliefs, it's just out of place. He goes on one on religion, which makes no sense, because religion serves no relevance to the plot, as you know.
Yeah.
He just goes on like, religion's bullshit, I'm an atheist, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And then it just seemed like Ernest Cline wanted to rant. And he wrote, it's just out of place. And then he goes on a rant about masturbation, which again has no relevancy on the plot.
Now,
go ahead.
I was like, is it safe to say that are you looking forward to the movie?
Just because of Spielberg.
Yeah, I'm very curious about it. I mean, I thought it was an interesting book. I'm not a big reader, so to say that it made me want to like start reading, and it sounds so bad. So I gave it props on that. I liked all the references to it. I think the only thing I really liked about that whole book was the female character. I can't remember her name, but
Artemis, I think, or something like that.
That was like the one. I think that was the one thing that I really liked about it, and the reason why is because of one of my friends I met. When I met her, she made me think of Artemis, because I met her around the same time I was listening to the book, and I'm like, dude, she's Artemis. That's Artemis, you know. So I think that's one of the things that made me like. That's kind of like more of a sentimental thing. I guess, but you know, it's one of those things like I felt a lot like how you did about the book, where it sensed that it felt like it was kind of like lecturing me.
Yeah.
In some aspects. And I don't know if it was because he was trying to, you know, make sure everyone understood what certain things were in case they weren't old enough to, you know, because maybe they were born in like 1992 and they're like 20 and they don't know what Airwolf is. Maybe that's that was the reason. But yeah, for someone like me, I was just like, dude, it's like a little too much.
I don't feel that was the case. I felt like he was just kind of like trying to. It seemed like a geek dick swinging thing to me in that book.
Yeah,
and it's really bizarre because Ernest Cline comes across in that book as an arrogant fucking hipster. But you watch fucking interviews with the guy, and he seems humble as shit. So it's really weird. So I don't know. Like, I don't dislike him as a person. I watch interviews, I'm like, this is going to be like the comic book guy. But it's not. So yeah, that was my most regrettable purchase, was the audiobook. Now, Will Wheaton read it really well. There's nothing against Will Wheaton on it, but he read it really well. If you don't mind, because I know we're probably going overtime on this podcast, and I'm so sorry about that, Xander. But two good things came out of this, though.
Oh yeah,
out of this book. I'm actually a really big reader, and I'm actually a creative writing literature major. And I do read a lot of stuff, so maybe that's why I'm a bit biased against the book. I read a lot of like Pulitzer Prize winning stuff. I read a lot of stuff that's meant to be fun, like Ready Player One, that is actually fun. So one of the good things was I was looking for criticism of the book, and I discovered a podcast called I Don't Even Own a Television, which is hilarious. But they do valid criticism. They read nothing, and I've gone beyond Ready Player One, and I think you'd like it. Check it out. They just read bad books, and they criticize them, and they'll make fun of them, but they won't. But they'll also give valid criticism, why the book is sexist, why the book is that, why, you know, stuff like that. Huh. It's really entertaining. It's like a good balance of humor in that and such. They do like everything. They, you know, but they've done most of Ernest Cline's books. The one that came out this year, Armada, and. You know, I didn't even need, because I was a little curious about, because people were saying Armada's the same, but after I listened to it, because they do read a lot of the book in those podcasts, it's a lot of the same shit. It's a lot of the same shit, exact same shit. There's, like, the kid is in his 20s, and it takes place in 2015, but he likes 80s stuff.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's the same shit over, except he fights against aliens in this one instead of an evil corporation. And they did Ready Player One, and it's really a good read. The other thing that I came to as well was, there's a book that won the Pulitzer back in 2007. It's called The Brief Wonderful Life of Oscar Wilde. And that book has a lot of the same references that Ready Player One does, right?
Right.
But the big difference, though, is he doesn't pander to you, nor is the book science fiction. It's actually about the main character is Oscar, and he's a heavyweight Dominican boy who is a nerd, and, you know, it's about racial identity, sexual identity, all kinds of shit like that. But there's a lot of geek references, and the narrator, who's a character in the book, he'll use it, but he'll use it in meaningful ways, and he won't explain what, like he'll use an X-Men reference, but he won't go say X-Men was a comic created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, you know? So that's a good one. But yeah, maybe I'm just a cynical asshole, because I read a lot of like Toni Morrison and R.A. Well, they're not in the same class by any means, but Toni Morrison's Nobel Prize winner, R.A. Salvatore's a fantasy writer, but I read a lot of better authors, I think, so.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. It's like, you know, if you ate McDonald's hamburgers all the time, and if you ate that all the time, that would be a good hamburger, but, you know, you go somewhere else and you eat another hamburger, and you're like, man, this is amazing, and you're that guy that ate the amazing hamburger. You know, you're like, you don't know what you're missing.
Well, I read a lot of fiction too that's not, like, I read a lot of, you know, I'm not saying my tastes are better, but I'm just saying I read a lot of fiction that's not just Pulitzer, Nobel Prize winning, Booker Award, that type of shit. I read a lot of stuff that's like, you know, I read the Dragonlance Chronicles, you know, that's fantasy. That's not considered anywhere near a Pulitzer Prize winner, right? The Drizzt books, the works of Brandon Sanderson, the Dresden books, all this other stuff. And it's stuff that's fun and enjoyable, which Ready Player One was trying to be, but it's pandering and condescendingism kills that, which as these books don't have that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so it's not like I'm like all highbrow, because people who complain about it, they'll be like, you don't expect high literature. No, but you should expect at least tight, decent writing and not just pandering. So that's just me. And half of your podcast audience hates me now.
They're like, we want to talk about video games, not books. Jeez.
But yeah, that's the. I'm sorry, but that's the only regrettable purchase I have, video game related wise. So.
Well, what we're gonna get into is because we're getting towards the end of the podcast, we're gonna go into games we've been playing recently.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hand it over to you, Anthony. What games have you been playing recently?
Oh shit. Okay, so I've been doing a stream of Final Fantasy VII. So that's been good. That's one I've been playing. There's not much to say about Final Fantasy VII because it's Final Fantasy VII. I've been playing on my iPhone. Yes, I'm playing a mobile game. Oh my god. Dragon's Lair. The old Laserdisc game. I love that fucking game.
How is it on the phone? I'm pretty sure it's probably like arcade perfect, probably.
It's arcade perfect, yeah. I actually, the first time I played it, I never played it in the arcade. I played Space Ace in the arcade when I was little. Like maybe 4 or 5 years old, I know that. Mm-hmm. But I do know that when I was 13, my grandparents gave me a choice for my birthday. And they're like, you could get a 3D or a PlayStation. I chose the 3DO. Which I sold about 4 months later because they killed the 3DO.
Yeah.
At that time, and got a PlayStation this was back in '96. But during those 4 months, I had a lot of fun with a lot of the games I had. And one of those games was Dragon's Lair, which is basically just this CD game, and it's a QTE game.
Yeah.
And what I found that is very embarrassingly bad nowadays, because maybe I'm old or something, was, in the old 3DO version, it didn't hold your hand. It didn't tell you what prompts to press. But I fucking got to the point where I mastered that motherfucking game, and I knew it by heart, by the prompts, right?
Right.
In this new iPhone version, it tells you which one to press, like a QTE does in an actual QTE event, and I can barely get halfway through the game.
I thought it was gonna be opposite. I thought you were like gonna be like a boss at it, and like I was about to say, quit pandering me.
Quit pandering to me, Dragon's Lair. But have you ever played any of those, like Space Ace or any of those?
Oh yeah, I have a DVD of Space Ace. It's like the DVD like interactive movie. I have that, and I have Dragon's Lair on the Sega CD. I have that version.
Oh, and I heard the Sega CD. There's like a debate about back in the day that the Sega CD version and then the 3DO version, which one was the better version?
See, I've never played the 3DO version, so I only played the Sega CD and the really bad NES version.
Oh fuck! And they attempted to Oh god, wasn't it like a platformer or something?
Yeah, it was nothing. It was nothing like Dragon's Lair. It's just bad.
Yeah. Ugh, not good. Not good. So Dragon's Lair is one of them. The big things that I've been playing, we were talking about Steam earlier, and how I got the Age of Empire and Age of Mythology. I've been playing those. I also got Grandia 2.
Oh, nice.
Because I forgot they released Grandia 2, and I don't have my Dreamcast.
And they redid the graphics, too.
Yeah, it looks really good. I played it for a few minutes, but I've mostly been playing Age of Empires and Age of Mythology. For me, when it comes to PC gaming, there are those games that are special to me from the PC game era that when I used to do that. I'm a console guy like you, though, straight up. For me, the thing about PC games that was interesting for me back in those days, though, was like, say, for the PlayStation, you beat Final Fantasy IX, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You could, you beat that game, that's cool, but you don't have anything else to game, but you have a PC game sitting there. So that could be like Age of Empires. In Age of Empires, you could play that single player all the time because it has randomness to it. Or you could play more Diablo 2 or something like that. So I always had that game, and Age of Empires was my RTS, Age of Empires 2. And I love this RTS because it's so, it's not overly meticulous, but with its resources, but it's very like a little slower paced. And you could do so much fun with it, like I realized. Like, you really just build a settlement, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what's funny about it is the last time I played it, which was Friday night, the game that I finished, because I went to my buddy's house, and then I came home, and I was supposed to be at work at 6. It was midnight already. I played Age of Empires till 2:30. And it was cool because I created all these little settlements, and it made my empire stronger.
Nice. Which
is cool. And then there's Age of Mythology, which it's faster paced, and you have gods, and you could like summon like you could cause forest fires with magic and summon giants, and it's the complete opposite of Age of Empires 2, but using the Age of Empires system. But it's a lot faster paced. Like, you get in conflicts a lot faster, which is cool. It's a faster paced RTS, whereas Age of Empires is the perfect blend of, say, like something like Sid Meier's Civilization with, like, say, a StarCraft.
Nice.
Because you can really develop a lot of, like, the social element. Not social, but the economical elements, like, like the marketplace and trade routes and things like that. But there's also that heavy RTS element to it as well, too. So that's what I've been playing, and some Mortal Kombat X. So
nice. Now, my list is very, very short because I've gotten one game that's just been consuming me. But before I get into that, I will say that I did play on PSN, because it was free, I did play the Gauntlet game, and I really enjoyed that.
I have that. I haven't touched it.
It's a lot of fun. It's classic Gauntlet. It's just better graphics. I mean, it plays a lot like the Gauntlet that you would expect from like the old arcade game. I mean, me and my friend Amanda, we played it and had a lot of fun. It was one of those things like I downloaded it and I was like, hey, did you download Gauntlet? And she was like, no, is it free? And I'm like, yeah, it's one of the free games. So she downloaded it, and I'm like, well, let's play it. And it was like one of those, you know, when you like try to get one of your friends to play a game and they're kind of reluctant.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to play it just because they're like, okay, I'll go ahead and play it.
Just to shut him up.
Yeah, so she ended up playing it with me, and we seriously ate away at it for like 3 hours. It was one of those things that we were just expecting, like, oh yeah, we'll just play like a little dungeon and stop. And no, it was like we started playing, and it was just like, it was so much fun. So I highly recommend any of the listeners download the new Gauntlet. And I think it's still free right now on PSN. So
the Gauntlets, and I'm familiar. Of course, I've played the old school, the old school ones. But I'm thinking it might be more in line with those ones that were released in the '90s. Remember, like Gauntlet: The Dark Ages and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, this one's like it's top down. That's what I like about it. It's a top down Gauntlet.
Okay, because Dark Ages was like that isometric view, huh?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Okay. That's cool. I'll have to, you know what? Maybe I'll pop in and play that after this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I have.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I've been playing that, and then fucking Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U.
Oh.
Holy shit. This is it's such a good game. It's got so much to congest, man. It's got so much to digest. I mean, I've had a couple of people on Facebook that's been playing it, that's been asking me through messages and posts being like, what do I do in this game? Because the game doesn't really hold your hand. It holds your hand in the aspect as what MMO does. There's the standard story mode that you can sit there and you can go through, and like an MMO, there's the story missions, but you can't do the story missions unless you do certain levels or certain missions. So you have to explore, you have to do little things and all that stuff. So I think people that's never played an MMO that's went and played this game are just completely lost. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And I'm by far the only MMO I've ever played is Final Fantasy XIV. That's the only one I've played. Mm-hmm. And 11. I will say I did play a little bit of 11. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but I will say for anyone who's listening, if you have Xenoblade Chronicles X, while it's still there, get the strategy guide. This is a game that you have to have the strategy guide because there is so much to do in this game. I mean, when it comes to items and leveling up and which jobs to take, which scouts to do, but I kind of found a little glitch in this game. Well, I should say Amanda found a glitch in this game.
A glitch? Oh, shit.
Yeah. Apparently there's like this, there's this cave that you find in the second continent, and when you go in the cave, there's a bunch of gold, and there's like a level 50 monster that's asleep. And the thing is like, like an MMO, not all the monsters attack you. They only attack you if they're aggroed or if you attack them first. Well, this guy's asleep, and he's like level 70 something, but he's not going to attack you. So you go in there and you just grab all the gold, grab all the equipment, and before you know it, you have like I think like 12 to 15,000 in just one run, and then you can quick travel and come back, and there's more money. Like it keeps resetting. But the only thing that sucks is when you're trying to get through that tunnel, you're surrounded by aggroed enemies that are like level 40. So you have to run as fast as you can and just keep jumping and hoping that you don't get hit. Because one hit, you die and you're back outside the cave. So if you can make it inside the cave, you get a bunch of money. So what I've been doing is I've been farming that area and getting tons of money. And then I go to what they call New LA. That's like the town hub of this game. And you can buy scouts. You can buy scouts on your team, and you can buy them any level you want. So what I've been doing is I've been buying a level 60 scout and having my normal party and having this big beefy guy with me, or beefy woman or whatever. having that character with me, that AI character, and going and fighting these like high-leveled monsters. So I went from level 17 to 27 in about.
Jesus.
I did that in about an hour or so.
Oh man.
So I kind of broke the game a little bit, but it's still so much fun.
Shame for shame. Not joking. Hey, I've done item duplicating glitches on Oblivion. I've done the item duplicating glitch on Final Fantasy VII. I can't say shit. So.
What about did you remember they patched it though, but you remember the Bloodborne glitch?
What was that?
Well, it was like this little area, and I'm trying to remember exactly how to get to it, but it was like an area that you go, and there'd be like these dogs that were caged up. And what you do is there were like certain dogs that you would kill, and then you run all the way back to the beginning of the game. And what it was a weird glitch in the sense that it would keep killing those dogs and give you souls, and all you had to do is be in the beginning of the game and run around in circles, and you just gain more and more and more souls.
What the fuck?
So you could do this, and like you just take some Scotch tape down your thumbstick, go out and get a bite to eat while your character's running around in circles, because it would just keep going, and you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm already level 80.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was patched up really quick though, but I remember I probably still have I remember I saved a video of it, and it was unlisted on my YouTube channel. I probably need to I need to share that video to you, because I showed it to my friend Devin, and I was like, dude, check out this glitch.
Oh fuck.
But yeah, I've been playing a lot of XCX, and it's been so much fun. There's like 12 chapters of the main story. I'm on chapter 7. And I'm about to unlock the mechs. I'm really excited about that.
Nice.
I had to take like this exam to get my mech.
I have the game, and if anyone wants to correct me, I could be wrong. I have the game. The reason I haven't played it is my 9-year-old played it first, and I think there's only one save slot.
I think there is too.
And I'm not gonna be that asshole to delete his game. And I can't do that. He hasn't played. If he doesn't play in 2 months, I will. But that's why I haven't played it though.
You know what you could do is I was thinking about this. You could probably get like some sort of like memory stick and transfer his save to the memory stick, and then be like, okay, son, whenever you want to go back and play, here's your save right here.
You know, maybe I could do that with a USB.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good idea.
Because yeah, this is by far one of the best games on the Wii U, and it's so good.
The Wii U is so
underrated.
It gets underrated. It's such a good system. You know what? I guarantee you, it's kind of, you know what? A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I feel with the Wii U, it's very much like what the GameCube was.
Yeah.
It's in the same class. Like, people gave the GameCube so much shit, but then years later, a lot of us look fondly on it. And it's going to be the same thing with this Wii U.
Yeah.
Like, I've loved the Wii U. There's a lot of good stuff. I mean, and to me, it has some of the best incarnations of some of the Nintendo franchises. Like, I think Super Mario 3D World is brilliant. I think, don't get me started on Mario Kart 8, because that game is...
And yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yoshi's Woolly World was a lot of fun too.
I heard that's pretty good. And then there's stuff that I haven't played yet, like Splatoon.
Oh, yeah.
Or what else? What's the other one? What was the other one? Mario Maker. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
So.
And Bayonetta 2 is a lot of fun. Hyrule Warriors is a blast. Man.
Oh yeah, and there's still some good stuff we're getting. You know, we got the Shin Megami X Fire Emblem crossover, the new Zelda. So Nintendo's not done with it yet.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, what we're going to do, guys, we're going to wrap up the episode. But before we do that, I definitely wanted to do the plugs. And we also have another special announcement with me and Anthony. But Anthony, how about you tell some of the listeners about your podcast you do with Alex? Because I've talked about this podcast before in previous episodes. I really enjoy the podcast. Where can the listeners check it out at?
We're on iTunes. What's the other service? I forget.
I usually listen to you guys on Stitcher.
Okay, we're Stitcher and Libsyn. We're on all the podcast services. And basically the podcast we do is Backlog Battle. And Backlog Battle, I think, is I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think it's different from a lot of gaming podcasts because Alex and I are very, very different people and I think that's one of the reasons he's one of my best friends, but we have very different views in gaming on a lot of things. And it's not like some podcasts where it's just a bunch of dick sucking, which is, I love your podcast because there's not a lot of dick sucking in it either, Xander. You and James have good I really enjoyed last week's episode.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed last week's episode, and you know what? Him and Alex, James and Alex, even though they don't know each other, they kind of sold me on Yakuza 5. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. But the thing about us is we've been podcasting for almost 6 years, on and off, and a lot of we've done several incarnations of a podcast, and a lot of them only reach like 30 episodes. We're gonna hit next week 99. It's a big deal for us. We've been doing this one for about 2 years, and I think what's fun about it is that it's a lot of back and forth, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, what I like about it is, like you said earlier, I mean, you guys are friends, but you guys do have opposite views, and it adds a good blendness to it, because it's not like, you could be like, oh, I really like this game, and Alex would be like, oh, I really like this game too. But instead, it's like, I really like this game, and then Alex would be like, why do you like this game? Or, you guys would talk about it, and it makes it so much more relaxing to listen to. And it sounds weird, but that's what I like about it. I like the fact that, you guys have different views, and it adds like a little bit of like there's a little bit of debates in it, but at the same time, it all comes together. It's because both of you guys are very passionate.
Yeah, he's very much about modern gaming too, and I'm kind of like you, like I'll dip back between both retro and modern.
Yeah,
and that's another big difference because Alex is not really a throwback guy.
Yeah,
because like when he did his stream of Resident Evil 4, I was like, what? That shocked me.
I thought it was cool that he played Fatal Frame 2. I was like, hell yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot he did the stream of Fatal Frame 2.
Yeah.
Those surprise me because he doesn't even go back to last gen, really. And he's not a modern elitist by any means, is he?
No.
He appreciates the old games. He just doesn't go back to old games, though.
Exactly.
A whole lot. So, but, it's a good show. There's very few people I would do a podcast with. And on top of my, with him, he's the number one guy I would do a podcast with. I could not ask for a better podcast partner than him.
Definitely. So yeah, guys, definitely check out My Backlog Battle on podcast. It's really cool.
It's a good one. Yeah, I love it. And then, of course, if I got to plug Magus X1. It's been a little inactive, but that's going to change a little bit. I can't promise a steady thing, but I'm going to try to do some videos. So.
But you do a lot of streams, too, though. A lot of live streams on Twitch.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of live streams on Twitch. My big thing is we're working through Final Fantasy VII, which I may or may not do after this podcast. So keep an eye on that. If you really want to know when I stream and when I do stuff, the big thing to follow me on is on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because my Facebook, you can add me as a friend, but that's sometimes I get really ranty on Facebook, as Xander knows. I basically just reiterated a bunch of my Ready Player One rants to one place. But but Twitter just go you'll find out. So Magus X1 on Twitter, My Backlog Battle, and then Magus X1 on YouTube. And Twitter's really the hub for all the information regarding my stuff because I really don't go into rants. I just my streams will be automatically there. My YouTube videos, and then Alex and I promote the podcast through Twitter. So
nice.
There you go.
Nice. And one of the announcements that I wanted to talk about as well is you started a group page not too long ago, Anthony, for your YouTube channel, and it kind of turned into more of a community thing, very similar to the Xsgaming Podcast Facebook group page, where it was more of a community than it was just focused on one thing. And we've all decided, since a lot of us in the group kind of get along, of doing kind of like a group based podcast, League of Ordinary Gamers, and this is I don't know. I don't know like what the schedule is yet. I know you and I have been talking about it off and on, and it's not always going to have the same host. That's the thing is it's going to be switching around between members of the group and stuff like that. So it's always going to be something a little different. I mean, of course, I think the first episode is going to be like me, you,
Ron Mower and BioPhoenix.
Right. We're going to do the pilot episode, the first episode, and then it's going to move on from there. And it seems to be it's going to be really interesting because a lot of us talk through Facebook. We have our own like little group chat. We talk about things, and we're just like, why don't we just do a podcast?
Mm-hmm. And one of your regular mainstays on the show, who's like last week when you said he's not even a special guest anymore, Burhan. Burhan will be on the show. Let's talk about who's in the group. Burhan's going to be in it. Again, you said it to him. I've told him 1,000 times recently. Burhan recently got engaged, so his fiance SA is going to be on there.
Yeah.
I think she said yes, huh?
Yes, she did.
Hedna, I know Hedna. I don't know her YouTube name. I know it's Pixel something, but Pixel Fairy, I think. Hedna, we got. It's not a pure sausage fest, guys. Just wanted to say.
And it's not just going to be gaming either. We're going to talk about other shit too.
Yeah, it's really just going to be kind of this weird version of what All Gen Gamers kind of was, but instead it's every week it's going to be different people. So some of the people, the four of us in the pilot, Power Metal Gamer, Whitey the Reviewer, Adam McLaughlin, who I always forget, he just changed his channel. He's a good kid. Who else am I? Rewind Mike.
Yep, Rewind Mike. The real completionist, Derek.
Well, we haven't talked to him about it, but it's all good. I'm sure he'll agree to it though. The real completionist, Derek, I've known him since 2008. We all know about the popular completionist. Hell with him. We've got the real one, the original.
Yeah.
Who's a cooler guy, in my opinion. Maybe not as popular, but he's a cooler dude.
Definitely.
So, but I think we have a good group.
Yeah, so definitely keep your ears open for that, guys. And, of course, you can join the League of Ordinary Gamers on Facebook. Be sure to join that as well as join the Xsgaming Podcast group page. And if you guys are listening to this on YouTube, you can also check out the YouTube channel on Podomatic.com and on iTunes. Be sure to leave us a comment or review on iTunes. It really helps the show, really helps people be able to find it a lot quicker. And, if you're listening to this on YouTube, of course, check out some of my other content. I actually just uploaded a video right before we started this podcast talking about my thoughts on emulation, yay or nay, and I got responses from the from the Xsgaming Podcast group page. So I got them to send in their comments, and we discussed that and stuff like that. So be sure to check that out. And guys, as always, thanks for listening. And when we come back, James will be back with his carpentry and his crimson beard. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I still don't know what the next subject's going to be, but it's going to be definitely a blast. But lots of great stuff coming out in 2016, so be sure to check that out, guys. As always, happy gaming.
Can't get enough of Xsgaming Podcast? Be sure to check out our audio podcast on Podomatic.com. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes. And if you have a YouTube channel or podcast you'd like to share, be sure to check us out on Facebook on our group page and join the community. As always, guys, thank you so much for all the support and happy gaming.